3 of the bombs fell near Palomares, while the 4th vanished into the Mediterranean Sea. 2 bombs detonated their conventional explosives upon impact, scattering radioactive plutonium over 0.77 square miles of farmland. On January 17, 1966, the quiet Spanish village of Palomares became ground zero for a nuclear disaster. A US B52 bomber armed with 4 hydrogen bombs collided midair with a KC-135 refueling tanker during a routine refueling operation over southern Spain. The collision tore apart both aircraft, sending flaming wreckage and 4 thermonuclear bombs toward the ground. This devastating incident occurred as part of Operation Chrome Dome, a Cold War strategy that kept U.S. bombers on constant alert, ready to strike the Soviet Union if necessary. However, the refueling operation that day turned deadly when a miscalculation led to the collision, killing 7 airmen and sending the world into a state of terror. 3 of the bombs fell near Palomares, while the 4th vanished into the Mediterranean Sea. 2 bombs detonated their conventional explosives upon impact, scattering radioactive plutonium over 0.77 square miles of farmland, including tomato fields and a cemetery. These explosions, though not nuclear, released dangerous radioactive material into the environment, creating an ongoing contamination threat. Miraculously, despite the chaos and destruction, no civilians in the village were killed. However, fears of a nuclear disaster were real, with a lingering threat of radiation exposure hanging over the region. A code word used by the U.S. military, "Broken Arrow," was immediately invoked, signaling a nuclear accident. Over 700 U.S. personnel, equipped with Geiger counters, flooded the small village, joining forces with Spanish authorities to contain the fallout. Despite the terrifying explosion and debris, the U.S. was determined to recover all 4 bombs. While 3 were recovered relatively quickly, the 4th bomb remained lost, setting off an 80-day search that involved intense efforts both on land and at sea. On April 7, 1966, after nearly 3 months of intense searching, the 4th bomb was finally located 2,850 feet underwater in the Mediterranean. It was carefully hoisted aboard the USS Petrel and disarmed, marking the end of one of the most dangerous nuclear accidents in history. The disaster had exposed the risks of the Cold War nuclear strategy and brought the world face-to-face with the terrifying reality of nuclear weapons. Nearly 60 years later, the environmental damage persists. Though most of the contaminated areas were cleaned up, 100 acres of land remain off-limits due to ongoing radiation risks. In recent years, studies revealed significant radioactive contamination still exists in local wildlife and soil. Despite some cleanup efforts, the full restoration of the site remains incomplete, leaving the haunting legacy of Palomares as a reminder of how close the world came to a catastrophic new